I wanted to start off by being really, really honest with you guys, and many of you have been on some of my programs. I'd written a letter to you all that I haven't made public because I lost my courage. So I'm sorry. I'm going to read it out now. I'm just going to read out what I wrote. I wrote this about, 3 months ago? Hi, my name is Rudi, and I've been teaching the 3 principles for around 14 years, and I want to apologize to you. I've been teaching with one hand tied behind my back. I have not shared things with you all that I know to be true. No excuses. I was lacking courage to talk from what I know to be true, to share experiences that have happened to me for fear that it would not be principle-based or too out there. Well, I'm tired of my own lack of courage, and now is the time to come clean and share my truth. A truth that may sound mystical or totally nuts, but to me our actual potential is much, much broader and boundless than I have been teaching. It is so absolutely awe-inspiring that often my personality just unravels and there is just what is, and what is love. The energy holding atoms together and spinning galaxies, the power beating our hearts and the heartbeat of the universe. Now, the reason I wrote that is, as a 3 principles teacher, there's a field in which the 3 principles are being taught. If you stick within the field, you're good. If you go out of it, then you're seen as being not a principle-based teacher. You're seen as being too out there or not principle-based enough, etc. And I've been trying to stay within this boundary for recognition, to get work, to be principle-based. And I realized that the understanding flowing through me has just got broader, and I can't stay within that field. And I have to go out of it. Now, it's not that you grow out of the 3 principles, because the 3 principles are everything and they're nothing. It's not possible to go beyond the 3 principles. When you really look at what they are, it's basically everything and nothing. But the teaching of it, the way humans get this field and put it into a teaching, that's become constrictive for me. So we're launching something called the Conscious Expansion Program, and we'll talk about that at the end if you're interested or you have questions. But for now, we really wanted to share our truths, and it's really meeting Jules here, who had such a profound experience and flows through life with this incredible majesty and power and potential, and introduced me to so many more things that I initially looked into before the 3 principles, and I'm kind of coming back to it again, but with different eyes. That there is this potential that we all have that I've been doing a bit of a disservice for 14 years, because human potential is much, 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 much bigger than we realize.
Right. What if we focused more on feeling as opposed to focusing on words and descriptions? Mm-hmm. What if we focused more on the beautiful foundation that's internal, the non-physical? What if we looked at the wave waving as just water? What if we looked at ourselves as expression, physical expressions of this life essence? I believe that looking at all of that in a holistic way, removing all of the boundaries of what it isn't, and opening up a space to what could be, just creates a space for love and connection of who we are. I've experienced some things in my life that I could not explain, but yet it was happening. And it was all based on a feeling inside. And when I focus too much on the exterior in the chatter in my mind, just like the principles say, I felt that feeling being pinched off, pulled away from who we truly are. I found myself homeless, then following this feeling, and everything just unfolded from there. I can use the word manifested, but I don't like that word because I don't know if you've seen, what is the name of that?
The Secret.
The Secret. I think that's all a little out there, but yet there is some foundational truth to that. And the beautiful thing is that what we've been doing behind the scenes is we've been watching this unfold in our own lives into physical form, but also bringing in the scientific data that supports that. And every time I would read or find an article of peer-reviewed data of what is kind of fringe, and I believe they're trying to keep hush hush, but we're going to try to open that up a little bit. I just get this overwhelming feeling of excitement because we are the wave waving, we are the ocean, we are the water, we're everything.
A metaphor came into my mind and it is a metaphor. Imagine a mirror, and within the mirror holds all the principles or powers or laws of existence. So within the forces within this mirror, again, it's a metaphor. You've kind of got what humans defining the law of attraction. Within this mirror, you've got what humans defining as non-duality. Within this mirror, it's got what the teaching of the three principles, mind, thought, and consciousness. Within this mirror is these powers that we have personally to create. Okay, so now none of this is personal. It's just these forces or underlying, interwoven in the fabric of reality forces. Again, like gravity is a physical force of this universe. We can't see it, but it's still working. So there's these psychological, spiritual, non-personal powers within this mirror. What's kind of happened as human beings, we try to understand these interwoven in the fabric of reality forces. So we break the mirror into fragments. In that fragment, you've got the law of attraction. In this fragment, you've got these powers of creativity we have personally. In this fragment is non-duality, meaning not two, just one universal field. Within this fragment, you've got the teaching, not the three principles, but the teaching of the three principles of mind, thought, and consciousness. And what can happen, we can get so transfixed on a fragment and it's true, okay, but it's not whole. Because the whole is the whole mirror, unfragmented. Different movements, different understandings, different approaches, in a sense, are very focused on a particular fragment. And they may kind of acknowledge, look at other fragments to a degree, but the main view is on that fragment. What's spontaneously been happening for whatever reason, I don't know why, is all the fragments came back together and reformed this mirror. And for some reason, there's just this seeing. And I'm not saying I saw or we saw, I'm saying there is this seeing, because it's nothing to do with us personally, there's a whole mirror with all of these forces within it. And as that was realized, I realized, my goodness, three principles, non-duality, law of attraction, personal power, like all of it can be explained really simply. None of it is going to be excluded. And it gets rid of the them and the us. Or the three principles is great about that law of attraction. Or I love the law of attraction, the three principles. Right. Like it gets rid of the egotism and the judgment and the separation, because what is non-duality? Non-duality means not two. But non-duality, in my mind, and not all non-dual speakers, but some non-dual speakers, there's such an overemphasis on the consciousness as one thing that it misses out that consciousness can express through the appearance of the personal. So it doesn't really look at that. Or people are really focused on personal power and they kind of ignore, well, what's the life force making it even happen, which is one consciousness.
Right.
So when the mirror comes back and is unfragmented, you've got this field imbued with all of the forces, non-personal forces within everything. And we're calling that teaching what we're calling individuation. It's being able to go beyond this personal self, so to speak. It dissolves and there's just what is, and what is one divine conscious state.
Right. And when you get rid of the opposition, the boundaries, it just creates more room for movement, for expansion. And being the human, we're very human with thoughts, emotions, feelings, laughter and tears. We're embracing everything because that's what we are. We're these beautiful humans with life experiences, and we have ebbs and flows and learn so much. We are embracing that. We are the creation of this life force.
Yeah, it's like there's a dissolving and you go back to what is, and what is isn't personal. It's just, my friend Paul Morgan Summers calls it the neverything, meaning nothing and everything. So I'm going to call it the neverything, so you know what I mean when I say that. So there's just this neverything, but within that neverything, it expresses through the personal. Like, you can't throw the personal out the window and you can't throw the impersonal, because it's the same damn thing.
Right.
It's the same thing.
And the only illusion is that there's separation.
Yeah.
Not that there's a self. The only illusion is that there's a line between the two, that one is there and not there, because we're everything.
It's like, I think John's on the webinar, but John mentioned the word infinite in a webinar. And when you look at the word infinite, it's infinite, meaning everything and nothing. And within the word is finite, meaning something and small. Well, we're both. We're the infinite finiting. And we're not finite. And we're not just finite, we're not just infinite, we're both at the same time. Now, one other metaphor is, I think it's about 1890, scientists did something called a double slit experiment, where they put photons or light beams through a filter, and they found that photons could be particles, meaning fixed mass and location, or they could be waves, meaning no mass, no location. Now, photons weren't one or the other. Now, before I continue, literally subatomic particles make up the physical universe. This is what we're built from. These are the building blocks of reality. In a sense, a house is built from wood or bricks, okay? Reality, as we know, is built from these subatomic particles, which is us fundamentally. So this energy, this subatomic particle, could be a wave or it could be a particle. Now, when it was being observed, it was a particle. When it wasn't, it was a wave. Now, how can something be both at the same time? Well, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense in my head. I just know it to be true. An MRI machine, many of you have probably had an MRI. How does it work? It works via quantum mechanics. It basically gets your particles to rotate circular and anti-clockwise at the same time. How can a particle, it's like me turning this way and turning that way at the same time. Again, it doesn't make any logical sense, but science shows that it's possible. So what would happen if the building blocks of reality are both at the same time? We are made from this stuff. We are infinite and finite at the same time. And any exclusion of one or the other is splitting it from not two to two. There's just consciousness. There's no human experience. There's no me. There's no you. Well, that's duality, because there's two. What happens if there's just one?
Right.
One.
We are the participatory essence of this universe. We are it.
So I just wanted to start off with that and say, as this is embraced, as this is realized from within, that we can have a really particle-like human experience. And then there's just this wave-like majesty, oneness, power. And we go between both, not one or the other, but both waving.
Right.
Like realizing this within, what happens is your life becomes what I'm defining as more wave-like. I'll give you a personal example. When we look out at nature, we often see it as particles, meaning fixed location and mass and color and shape. But as there's this waviness happening, like my perception of nature now is I'm seeing the form of it, the particles, but also there's an energy field. There's this energy field pervading nature, and you can see it, and everything's connected. Not only that, but it gives off a noise, is a sound. Every species has a different sound. It's like music. Trees sound different when they're being hit by the sun, and they die down when they're in the shade. They sound different in winter to when they do in summertime. Every single flower gives off a different resonance, a different sound. And as that's perceived, it's so beautiful. I find myself breaking down in tears because it is so heavenly. Heaven isn't a place, it's a state of mind. It's a state of being a wave, but embracing we're particles too.
Right.
And I know this may sound a bit out there, but Jules's daughter, Sophia, passed away, and she's not here in the form anymore, but I hope I'm allowed to say this, but Jules visits her spiritually, non-physically, because when you're stuck in being a particle, you're limited, fixed mass and location. As you embrace the wave-like nature, you're not limited by your physical body, because you're not your physical body. Your physical body is just the grossest form of, I don't mean gross as in bad, I mean heavy. Your physical body is the heaviest resonance of you, but who you are is all of the resonances. Yeah. If that kind of makes sense. So when we talk about the principles, thought creates experience, thought creates feeling. Absolutely. I've been teaching that for about 14 years. But when you reword that, what is thought? Thought's a vibration.
Thought is energy.
Thoughts, well, it's nothing that isn't energy. Thought isn't an energy, and you feel the vibration in your body. You're feeling your vibrationary resonance in the moment. So thought creates experience, thought creates feeling, absolutely. It's one of the powers inherent in reality, in a sense. But a rethink of that would show that as waves, as energy we're experiencing, there's an experience of a resonance of our thinking. And again, you can see it in people. You can perceive a field, an electromagnetic field around people, and the colors of that field is their resonance. Another word of saying that is the color of their field is their dominant thinking, which is going to change. So their color is going to change. Because what's color? Color is just a resonance of energy. Blue, green, yellow, all different resonances.
In the principles, it's referred to as states of mind or levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
So we're embracing everything as a whole, taking down the boundaries and creating a space for growth. to expand our wisdom. Make space for connection.
I think for me, what is true can't be spoken about. I mean, you know, you can, but it's not going to be true. It's going to be your interpretation of what's true. And within the principles is a slight me too. I'm the worst offender. Slight snobbery is, oh, that's not principle based. It's not worth listening to. You have to listen to a principle based teacher. If the energy and intelligence of everything is within everybody, does that just mean three principles people have it?
It's non-discriminative.
So what would happen if we get out of this three principles egotism and snobbery, and this is the only wayness, because that's religion? Let it all dissolve and come back to what's true for all of us. It's within our hearts. And to me, the only truth is love, because it's the only direction to go in, and it's the only thing that really matters in life. And when all the vessels, the vessel of non-duality, the vessel of the law of attraction, the vessel of the three principles, the vessel of psychology, the vessel of mysticism, when you smash the vessels, they all just bleed back into one whole mirror, and there's the potential to embrace all of it just as it is.
In a sense, when we're living within that vessel, there's a contraction, a discomfort, a feeling of being constricted. But like with the analogy, breaking the vessels and just having everything flow back to the wholeness, there's an expansion. There's an amazing feeling that really can't be described, but it's there. It's always there.
Like a friend of mine runs really big retreats in London. He's not like a three principles person, but he's come across and he's been in one of my retreats in the past. And so he's a bit influenced by the principles when he does talks. But I went to the talk and I spoke to lots of coaches and people who write for Hay House and other people. And I was really surprised they were so judgmental of the three principles, because I'd come across three principles people and they're almost like religiously saying, your way is wrong, three principles is right. And it put them off the three principles. In fact, they had judgment towards me because I was a three principles person. Now, it's not the three principles, because the three principles is in everything. It's what we make up about the three principles. It's the humanness creating conditions and dualities and rights and wrongs and how it should be done, how it shouldn't be done. That's the problem, not the fact of them.
The boundaries.
It's the boundaries created in the human mind that pinch off the essence of all of it. And I'm not having a go at the three principles or the community, because this is how I earn my living and this is what I've been doing for 14 years. And I have been worried about doing this because I could just lose my business, and I may lose my business. That's still a distinct possibility when the elders get to hear about what I'm talking about. Oh, shit. But beyond the form and the vessel, there is a truth, there is an essence beyond the way the essence should or shouldn't be spoken about. It's a heartbeat. And you get in line with that beat, and it takes you places to where you didn't think were possible. And if you want to follow love, you want to follow truth, you need to be bloody courageous, because it's going to shuffle the form of your life around like you can't believe. And it's been asking me again and again and again to be honest, to share what I know to be true, to get over the spiritual egotism of the principles. Not the principles, but everything. You know, you've got religious people who are so sure that if you don't follow Jesus, you'll go to hell.
Yeah.
I've come across non-duality people who are so adamant that there isn't a human experience and there's no personality, that it cuts them off from the only thing that matters, which is love, because they're judgmental. So it's not the principles, it's humanity's boundaries it puts on something boundaryless. Because if you go back to the heart of all these things, it's boundaryless. So where are we now? Well, we're just starting to talk our truth. And it's the first truth I've come across that really isn't judgmental and embraces everything. And for me, the lack of judgment allows an embracement. And then you fall back into being a wave. And when you're a wave, meaning no fixed location or mass, there's just this experience. And again, I don't actually want to say right now what these experiences are, because that may be too out there. But we will be talking about it on the Conscious Expansion program, our true human potential, because we feel that whoever pays to go on it, we've got permission to go there. And I don't want to do this on a free webinar.
And the scientific data.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me want to swear. Holy crap. I mean, it just makes me feel like everything that I was experiencing is real. It solidifies it and verifies it. So that's what we're going to be sharing.
There is so much more. There is so much more to experience. So much more. There is so much more to this expression of consciousness. Like one of Jules's quote, we are creation with the power to create.
You're all creating whether you know it or not, right now in this very moment, every single moment of the day and night.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah. We are creation, but we are a microcosm. One of the things when there was a dissolving experience, when I was 21, that was like 40, I don't know how long ago it was, I'm crap at maths, a long time ago, there wasn't Rudi having an experience, there was just what was happening. And what was happening was then everything. It was just an everything without an observer observing it. I know words break down in the formless. But I realized we're a microcosm of the macrocosm.
Right.
Get a mirror and break it. You can still see your reflection in all the parts. The ear, the feet, with an acupuncture, everything's a microcosm of a macrocosm. There's this geometry within nature, fractals, where it just repeats itself. There's this intelligent interwoven in everything. Like, I realized that the universe or the multiverse was so ginormously massive. I mean, I can't even put words on it. Even if I said there are 100 billion trillion universes, that's not even coming close to what's actually occurring. It's so enormous, but at the same time, it's so small because everything is contained in everything. Everything is within everything. And I couldn't get my head around that when I came out of it. But again, you need one bit of DNA to regrow an entire human. One tiny thing. So I don't want this to come across as this big intergalactic seeing energy stuff. It makes the ordinary extraordinary. Just the normality. Making a cup of tea, it's that. Talking to your mother-in-law, it's that.
And it makes the extraordinary ordinary.
Yes, it makes the extraordinary. All these things that seem woo-woo or out there or whatever, it makes it so ordinary. Of course.
It's for everybody. It is everybody.
Max Planck, who's kind of the father of modern quantum theory, he called it this power a matrix. He also called it nature's mind. Okay, this is natural. There's a mind within nature, and the three principles, you can call that universal mind, if you will. I mean, I see the three principles as one power and three states, but you can interpret it any way you want. There is a mind of nature. And what has happened innocently is society has got so conditioned and we've got so much amnesia. What is natural has become unnatural, and that's why there's all the shit going on at the moment. What we're really doing is bringing people back to what is natural, and what is natural is so far removed from most people's common experience. It's much bigger, it's much broader. And again, I don't want to talk about what that looks like now, but we'll do that on the program, because you want to explain it. Sometimes the personality just unravels, and it's like that quote by Rumi. There's a field, I'll meet you there. Beyond right and wrong, there's a field, I'll meet you there. When the world is too full to speak about, you just lay down in the soft grass. It's that.
Do you want to read?
Yeah.
I think Tony.
So we're just going to read the chat out because I haven't been looking.
Read.
Tony, Finite, we are a finite or personal form to express consciousness. We are that formless, conscious energy observing life with our own finite form. To play, create for the fun of it, to create an experience of what we create. The deeper feeling that we are is a wave of energy particling into forms of life, expressing the infinite. Just breathe. Beautiful.
Rudi, he's quoting you.
Oh, is that my quote? I honestly, I don't know what I say.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Claire, you beautiful souls are so amazing. So grateful for your courage and love. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Oh, thank you, Claire. Lydia, wow. Nina, big heart. Sorry. Ashid. Ashid, I'm so happy that someone in the Three Principles community finally put words on this. I have felt this from the first minute learning the principles many years back, but nobody wanted to listen to me. Thank you so much for your love and courage.
We'll listen to you.
Wow. Within this mirror, and I'm sorry if you missed this metaphor, if you pinged in late, but I used the metaphor of a mirror, so go back and watch the recording. Within this mirror is all of these impersonal forces. Where was I going with that? So these forces are us and not us. But what we're going to be talking about is not just that these forces exist. We're also going to be sharing our creative, I'm going to swear, our bloody creative potential within those forces to create with it. Frustrated, yeah. No one talks about it.
Right.
Because we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. We are creation with the power to create. We are these creative sparks of the divine who has the power to recreate and create. And so much incredible creation can happen through us, not of us, but through us. We want to talk about that.
We are expressions. We are creation.
Mm-hmm.
We're creation creating.
So anyway, we didn't really know what we were going to talk about until we did, and we have spoken about something. I have no idea what we've spoken about. And I'm going to be in so much trouble when this recording goes out. But
does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Jim just shook his head. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Unmuted, can I say, good for you.
Oh,
You're so nice. I bet everybody already has glimmers of what you're saying. And you now represent using the three principle audience as a basis for moving everybody on. I bet a lot of people that are interested in three principles see the much larger view that you've been describing so beautifully. And so you represent a next step and breaking out of the constrictions of the fundamentalism of a belief system, you know, and truth turns into belief systems, and then people start hanging on to them. Right. You're breaking out, and I commend you completely for it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Jim.
Sure.
That really touched me. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, of course.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Claire says, you guys are like Newton and Einstein in this field, the pioneers of love. Thank you, Claire. And Lydia agrees with this. Thank you, Lydia. Tony, when we forget what we are and identify with our form, I can't read because my eyes are blurry.
When we forget what we are, beautiful. I love that, Tony. Not who we are, but what we are. When we forget what we are and identify with our form, we make a mess of things and get caught up in our stuff. Identify with our essence instead of the form of our creation.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
What if we focus more on a feeling and sort of left the words behind? What if we focus more with our heart? Life would be a lot more beautiful. We'd be living life with ease. We'd still have our ebbs and flows because we're human that cry, like me, that, that get sad, but also that have love and laughter. What if we focus more on that and embracing the whole? Read Claire's.
Also, the helpful aspects to help us share this is the science that supports what we feel to be true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Everything we're going to talk about is actually scientific fact. In the last 20 years, there's been such an increase in being able to measure the measureless, being able to perceive the apparent formless. So in a sense, this isn't even out there. It's actually our natural state. It's nature's mind that we can condition out of, and all we're trying to do is point back to what we are and what our creative powers within creation is, and come back to ourselves.
Coming home.
Coming home. So anyway, I'm going to finish in a minute. Is there any other comments, or would anyone like to say anything before we finish?
Claire, she's so excited to hear that. And boo, she doesn't want this to end.
Tony, it isn't pointing toward because we scare our particleizing self and shut down. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, the Conscious Expansion Program starts July the 13th and 14th, that weekend. We're also doing it again on October the 5th and the 6th. And what our intention is to do is, that's a foundation weekend. We want to do an intermediate and advanced, and we want to create a momentum around this. And actually, when you go back to the fact of the three principles, we're not actually saying anything different from the three principles. What we're doing is we're broadening the teaching and using different words.
Right.
Okay.
Taking down the boundaries and the fences.
Taking down the boundaries and the fences, and spiritual snobbery, and I'm right and you're wrong, ness.
Taking down the separativeness.
And talking about within this field of potential, we have the power to create. And we're going to talk more about that too. So it's empowering. Claire says, you can't make the truth more true, just remove the walls around it.
Right.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. Well, we'll send you a link and you're welcome to join. And if you sign up, then we feel we've got permission to really go there with you, but we don't quite feel that on a free webinar at the moment because we don't know who's listening or who watched the recording. So we're going to go there. Okay, guys, lots of love. God bless you. Mwah. Mwah. And I love you all, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye
Thank
for
you
now.
so much.
Bye.